Recently, I beat every single shrine in Breath of the Wild without using runes. While I did that, I came across some shrines that were fairly easy to complete, and others not so much. But I also came across this shrine, Rin Oya, a shrine located next to the Snowfield stable. In this shrine, the runeless solution wasn't immediately apparent to me, and I realized how many ways there actually are to beat it. I'm pretty sure I even kinda cheesed this one in my casual playthrough, so I had an idea. After I completed my runeless run, I wanted to see how many ways there are to beat this shrine, using any glitch, trick, and even rune available to me. And that's the point of this video. I will show you every way you can beat the Rin Oya shrine in 2022. Get ready for some creative and glitchy solutions. Before I explain the first method, I wanted to quickly explain my rule set for this challenge. I wanted to only count unique ways to beat the shrine. What this means is, for example, once I use one trick, like moving the shrine orb into the goal with stasis, doing it slightly differently by hitting it more than one time doesn't count as a new solution. Also, combining two methods, like using stasis on the orb and then also using the bow on it, does not count as a new method either. I wanted every solution to be at least somewhat special. I do want to quickly explain again why I used this shrine for this idea. I think Rin Oya is very intricate for how simple and small of a shrine it is. The goal is to transport the shrine orb into the hole, but also make sure that when that happens, Link is on the elevator platform so he reaches the end. It features wind gusts, metal cubes, interesting architecture, and an orb which allows me to get creative. You will also see me using a special bow of light on my file. This is a bow of light that shoots 10 arrows at once, and it's using a brand new glitch. Next week I'm uploading a video that shows how crazy this glitch really is and what other weapons you can make with it. So if you want to catch it, don't forget to subscribe. But for now, let's start with the first way to beat this shrine. Rin Oya is called Directing the Wind, and even though I didn't catch that in my first playthrough, it's a major hint for the intended solution of the shrine. You can use magnesis to basically build a track for the shrine orb to just be guided by the wind and into the hole, which gives Link enough time to position on the elevator. So after positioning the cubes correctly and dropping the ball into the wind gust, we casually had our first way to beat the shrine. A twist on this is placing the orb up top, above the end of the intended track, and then using the stasis rune on it. After hitting it once, you have enough time to just make it over to the elevator, skipping the whole track building thing, and finishing the shrine. The third way to beat this shrine is actually what I did in my runeless playthrough. You can simply just grab the orb, position under the final part of the track, and throw it over to the later part of the wind path. From there, the ball should just roll into the pedestal and still give you enough time to make it onto the elevator without even having to use a rune and complete the challenge. Next, I wanted to try some other ways to move the orb, so for the fourth solution, I positioned onto the elevator and grabbed a big metal box with magnesis. Using it as some sort of big spoon, it's possible to scoop the orb up and push it into the last part of the track as Link comfortably stands on the elevator. From here, you just ride it up and have found yourself another solution. Another easy method to move the orb is using your bow. In my case here, the super powerful 10-shot bow of light. With some clever placement of the orb, it's just an easy snipe from the elevator and the shrine is done. The next obvious way to get the ball rolling is the Bomb Broom. This actually looked a lot cooler than I thought with how quickly the orb flew perfectly into the wind gust. And again, since it's remote controlled, we can just wait on the elevator to get to the monk for solution number 6. The last method I used to just get the orb rolling is another classic and underused item, the Korok Leaf. Don't worry, after this method we kinda run out of options to get the ball moving, so it's gonna get a lot more creative. But for number 7, I just placed the orb in the same spot and used the Korok Leaf on it and ran to the elevator and made it just in time to clear the puzzle. Now, like I said, starting at method 8 we had to get a little more creative. We had already used stasis on the shrine orb itself, but there is something else you can stasis that might not be as known. You can actually stasis the fans that cast the wind gust, so by placing the orb in front of the final one, stasising the fan itself, it gives you just enough time to run to the elevator. When the stasis ends, the wind starts up again, blowing the orb into the goal and allowing us to reach the end. There is one more thing we can stasis in this shrine, and it's the big metal cubes, and this is where our first speedrunning trick comes into play. By simply standing on the block after charging it up, Link can ride the block to the end of the shrine without even worrying about the puzzle at all. Now for the 10th method, we have an old favorite from the runeless run returning: Octorok balloons. One way to use them in the shrine is to basically block the road for the orb to traverse with one of the big metal blocks and then attaching some balloons to it. The extremely powerful balloons will lift the block up, freeing the path, giving Link just enough time again to reach the elevator. An easy twist on this is again to simply ride the metal block airship yourself by placing it close to the monk, attaching the balloons and riding it up to the end. And with that, we have 11 solutions to the shrine. From here, however, I decided to tap a little more into my speedrun knowledge to come up with some more creative ideas. For method 12, I used the original speedrun strat for the shrine that was used when I first learned the all shrine speedrun in 2019, and it's actually really cool. After simply dropping the orb into the wind from the start, you can jump, shield jump, then place a bomb behind Link and you instantly blow up after pulling the glider for a few frames. This will launch Link onto the lifting platform just as the orb rolls into the hole. A very fast and flashy way to beat the shrine. In the next completion, I chose a new speedrunning trick, the BLSS from 2021. A trick that allows you to slide through the air with any pick-upable object. The only problem is that you can't really get any height with it. So I instead grabbed the orb and slid with it until it was over the hole to essentially airdrop it in and then glide to the platform just in time to ride it up. Later I would find another way to use the BLSS creatively, but let's move on to method 14. This one uses a cool mechanic that's used in speedruns and my runeless run. By building a little road closer to the hole with the metal blocks, you can stand on them and face the other way. If you then jump attack with a two-hand weapon, Link propels the orb backwards over the fence, which still gives you enough time to reach the elevator. I really love how stylish that reverse hit looks. Another cool mechanic you can use is a strat called wall jump. By throwing your weapon mid-air, but cancelling the throw by unequipping another item, you can reset your jump. I used this to bring the metal block up to the monk area with magnesis and positioned it in a way that it would fall down so I could stasis it mid-air. From here, I could wall jump onto the block and then wall jump again from the block to the finish line. I still wanted to use the BLSS trick in another way, since so far I had only used it to get the orb in the hole, but I realized that you can actually start the slide from this big torch as well. So by bringing the box over to the beginning of the shrine and jumping up to it, I could start a slide from it over to this chest area. From here I could place a bomb behind Link, then shield jump up and blow up the bomb, which would launch me to the goal area. Bringing that block up to the beginning made me think of another idea. I essentially built a ladder by jumping on a metal block up here and then onto the torch, which was very hard to be stable on. Now I grabbed the box with magnesis, but put it even higher up, stasised it, and then made my way from the torch onto the block again, and then finally to the end of the shrine for method 17. Earlier I used stasis on the block as an elevator to move Link upwards, but for solution 18 I went with the original speedrunning trick called the stasis launch. By charging the box up fully and then standing on its edge on top of it, a precise jump will make it so that Link gets hit by the block, catapulting him to the end. This is always super satisfying to do, and also another new method to complete the shrine. Okay, so for method 19, I don't even really know what happened. The idea was to block the hole for the orb with a Korok leaf and then bomb arrow the area so that the leaf would burn down and the orb would roll in, and that kinda worked. It's just that the orb flew through the entire shrine first before perfectly landing at the end of the wind track to then slowly roll to where it had to go. Lucky? Yes, but we take those. Now, let's get a little bit nerdy again. For the next way I wanted to use a strat called a Skew Bounce. This is done by jumping on a slope with your shield in bullet time and also turning Link as you do it. This gives you a very weird skew, which is usually used to clip through walls, but this one actually gives you a tremendous height boost when you unequip your shield. So by making our little stepping stone at the start of the shrine again, I could shield jump and then unequip it to gain that height and then just glide to the end. And speaking of nerdy speedrunning tricks, we haven't even used one of the absolute classics yet that most people know of at this point: the wind bomb. I don't even know if I have to explain this anymore. Basically jump while dropping a bomb, go into bullet time and place another bomb just in the right spot and blow up the first one. This launches Link to the end of the shrine and gives us another easy way to beat it. 21 down. When we used the Coral Cleave earlier to block the hole, I thought we could also use the block for that again, but this time solve it in a completely different way. Placing both bombs under the block and then using stasis on it starts the setup. Then I used a bomb arrow to give the block some initial charge and then blew up both bombs to increase it even further. From there, I just had to drop the orb into the wind and then barely make it onto the platform when the stasis timed out, opening the path for the shrine orb. A really cool idea someone in my Twitch chat pointed out was next, which, by the way, I stream all of these runs on twitch.tv/limcube. The link is in the description. And currently I'm streaming every single day until October, so chances are I'm literally live right now. I would be happy to see you there. But anyway, let's get to method 23. By placing the metal box on the elevator and taking the shrine orb with us, I could charge the box up with stasis again, but instead of launching Link with it, this time I essentially used the box as a tennis racket, hitting the orb into the hole while I was already on the elevator. I had to time this throw perfectly, and also use another metal box as some sort of wall so I wouldn't overshoot, but this was definitely one of my favorite ways. There's also one other way left to utilize octoballoons. Attaching them to the orb itself. Doing that, I could move the flying orb over the hole while comfortably walking to the elevator and then simply shoot the balloons just when the orb was flying over the opening. It would just drop down and the shrine was beaten once again. Now at around method 25 is where we slowly started to run out of exciting ideas, so everything from here is either going to be extremely tricky or extremely creative. I thought one simple new way to beat the shrine was to do it blindfolded. So my chat and I developed a setup that I don't really think needs further explanation, but this made me feel pretty cool. I think I failed it. I forgot that I have to get the weapon out. It's okay, it's okay. The camera turns.
Gigacube less than 3.
This sounds good. I failed for a bit and I don't hear the ventilators. Oh! Oh! Okay. Walk to the right. Walk up. See how you jump? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh! Okay! I heard the sound! Huge! This next method is definitely in my top 3. I had a giant boomerang on me this entire time, since it had a special throwing animation, which makes the wall jump I mentioned earlier actually the easiest. And again, I think this solution is so cool that it doesn't need any explanation, so just watch. And just like that, we were at 26. So while I'm editing this video, I realized that the next method is kinda against my own rules since I had already used one of these before, but I will show it anyway. The bomb boost I had used earlier could actually simply be used twice. Once onto the metal block and then again to the end of the shrine. I guess this is slightly different, so I'm counting it as a method, but definitely not the most exciting at this point. For solution 28 though, I literally needed 1 hour to complete it. So there's this trick called the Fosberry Flop, and it's pretty hard to do consistently. Basically, when shield surfing and pressing Y, Link does this little spin, but if you jump out of the spin and pause on just the right frame when Link is about to take off and unequip your shield, Link gets a height boost. So I built this weird box contraption to use the first onto the box and then the second one to our goal. This almost made me lose my mind, but at least we had completed the shrine differently again. Next was another speedrunning classic that I didn't want to use until now, the moon jump. This is a glitch you set up by starting the mounted archery minigame but ending the game on a different horse you started it on. This really breaks the game, and when you warp away after, Link can simply jump mid-air until you mount something again or close the game. So of course this could easily be used to simply jump to the end of the shrine. By the way, before wind bombs were found, there was actually a very similar mechanic that runners used in shrines sometimes, the orb launch. By placing a bomb inside the opening of shrine orbs and positioning the actual orb right in front of it, you can backflip from the top of the slope to enter bullet time. Just like the wind bomb, blowing up the bomb will then launch the orb into Link, catapulting him upwards. A really cool throwback and yet again a new solution. Another viewer of my stream told me about this speedrun strat that was used in another shrine, and I wanted to check it out. This was gonna be yet another way to beat the shrine, but as it turns out was actually really hard to do. You essentially have to run down a ledge, and just before you lose control of the Magnesis rune, you have to flick up the controller using motion controls. This will then carry Link upwards to be able to finish the shrine, and after countless attempts, I finally managed to get this. Wait. Huh? And just like that, we have over 30 solutions. People constantly asked me if I had fully exhausted the ways I can use the Korok Leaf yet, and as it turns out, I had not. You can actually cancel your Korok Leaf swing by unequipping your shield, which gives you control of Link right after. So by setting up on the elevator here, I went for this unique way of beating the challenge. There is also this very simple method that I completely forgot about when coming up with these creative ones. Usually, you are just short of simply throwing the orb over the opening from the elevator, but you can simply stack up 2 boxes to build a path for the orb to roll over. Probably one of the easiest ways to beat the shrine. For this next way, I have to actually quickly explain how bullet time works in this game. During bullet time, acceleration is drastically increased, so when you, for example, hit an enemy in bullet time during your shield surf, you get the classic bullet time bounce that sends you flying. This actually also works the other way around, so when something is slowing down, bullet time will slow it down even more. So by fully charging up the orb from the elevator and then using bullet time just as it's flying over the opening, you can completely stop the orb mid-air. This will make the orb simply fall down, allowing you to clear the puzzle. I think method 35 could seriously be a speedrun strat, and I was completely surprised that this is even possible. But when you pick up the orb and then jump with it and open the paraglider, the orb falls down behind Link. So you can simply pick up the orb at the start and then jump down towards the track and start gliding towards the elevator. The timing here just lines up so that you can reach the elevator before it leaves. A very fast solution. Now, to give it away, there is a final 5 solutions that I found to this shrine. Again, I'm sure that there is some mechanic that might be able to be reused in a different way, and maybe there is something I completely forgot. If you have any other ideas, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll try if they are possible, but keep in mind that I try to not reuse mechanics. Also, these final 5 are all extremely intricate ways of clearing the shrine that require some more explanation. But let's get to it. Method 36 is called a mid-air Tilde reset. By getting a specific skew in the orb opening and then shield jumping and unequipping your shield and then tapping the throw button, Link clips upwards. This can be used twice in Renoya, once on the box and then once on the final platform to beat the shrine. Method 37 is called Void Out Storage, and this one is very weird. By doing the apparatus storage glitch in a different shrine, which allows you to move while you control motion control puzzles, you can void out in the shrine without dying. If you then load the file in our original shrine, Link will finally void out, but the last coordinates that the game remembers are the ones from the shrine we set the glitch up in. So Link will now simply wake up right next to the monk. Very strange looking, but super cool. Method 38 uses the apparatus glitch again, but this time very differently. By jumping into lava with the glitch active, you can actually store the Death Mountain properties so the weather is always burning hot. I did this and then loaded the file in the shrine. In case if you don't know, if you equip a bomb arrow on Death Mountain, it simply blows up due to the heat. Now, since I had a lot of fairies on this file, I was simply able to do this. Oh, this could be it. Last bomb arrow. Boom. This has to be one of the most unique ways you can beat a shrine in Breath of the Wild. My favorite way of beating this shrine after this challenge, however, was this. I started by using a shield clip to leave the boundaries of the puzzle and then used a chain of mid-air wind bombs to get on top of it. From here I used a glitch called Ollie Clip, where you shield surf in bullet time, then jump when you touch the ground frame perfectly. Then you have to mash in a very specific rhythm and Link will slowly but surely clip through the shrine. This is what that looks like. Oh no. Oh no. So yeah, after finding out the shrine has a second ceiling, I had to do the same glitch again, but finally beat the shrine in yet another way. Since I wanted to end on an even number, I wanted to find one more method, but no one really had any ideas left since we really tried the most ridiculous ways at this point. So I simply decided that for method 40, I just wanted it to look cool, so I went for this trick shot. Watch this. I was pretty happy with that, and this meant we had beaten one single shrine in Breath of the Wild in 40 different ways. This just goes to show how much it paid off, that the devs gave players so many options to be creative, and I love that so much about this game. I hope you enjoyed this creative showcase of mechanics and the explanations. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.